So from this side, I feel this vacuum that how much journalism in this country, because it was blamed, whatever. I hear that they even mentioned your name. I'm sorry about that. I'm all personal. How much from your side as journalists are you taking up from what these guys have already said? They've already put this thing on the paper. I could see Jeremy Panas was so tired. You could look at his face, standing there. He must ask questions. He's able to answer. He's being accurate about the event. But how much from the investigation, from your media side, to investigate and see from the public protector, that space that was then filled by public protector, where is Galega now? Where are the journalists to investigate? And even hold the president accountable, because we have never had a suspended minister in this country out of all the administrations. The president will decide to hire and fire a minister, especially a minister who's implicated like that. How much accountability from the media to the president and to this public protector? What is he doing? How much information have you tried to dig in so that we can be following you now? Not in Kwanazi. In Kwanazi and Misana, I think they've done a favor. They've done so much for the country. So we would expect media in that space now to operate and dig more. We should hear about phones and everything, whatever that was happening then.
Yeah.
Because I was there then, the emails and everything, you would read in the paper. It took only Jonas to say, I was offered money. Then the media took over. But this time around, I feel like we expect Kumalo to do miracles, and Mkhwanazi must over-explain now and again. So that's what I'm feeling.
Look, I think I hear exactly what you are saying, that basically there was more work done by journalists to try and give context to what was happening at the time, or even to where there are statements that have been made to either go and do the work that gives credibility to those statements or not, regardless of which side of the argument it might be. And as I'm thinking about it, top of my head, Ayanda, is a reality that we have to confront, that newsrooms in 2025 are not what they were in 2015. They are half the size that they were in 2014. And that also applies to investigative journalists and investigative journalism. And that's really the crisis that the industry is in, right? Because there has not been enough money to fund the work that media and in particular investigative journalists are doing. And that then becomes part of the consequence of not having that. Because if you only have 3 investigative reporters, there's only so much that they're going to be able to do. And it's a question that as society we have to think about and reflect on. If you go onto many of the websites, in fact, of some of the investigative journalist units, whether it's Daily Maverick, whether you're going to Ground Up, Mail and Guardian, etc., you will often find there's that little banner at the bottom that is speaking about the difficulties of the newsroom and if people can fund. That's not just people are trying to make a quick buck request. It's a genuine request to say that there is a fear that journalism, at least in its most authentic form, might not be able to continue due to lack of funds. Hello, Ayanda? All right, he's on the road, so I think we've lost him there. But it's an important point. And sometimes you'll see people saying, yeah, where are the infographics? Where are the infographics? Don't just produce themselves. They need people who are going to give information, right? Today, technology is helping so much because it has become so much easier. But what is the credibility of the information that you're giving the artificial intelligence to come up with with those infographics? Those requirements have not changed. And it's a conversation that we need to really be looking at quite honestly and authentically. JCK, you're in Musina. Good morning.
Just got the
Eta.
Since Katman, I would like to make an appeal to government, if the government is caring. We have got engineers and then, engineers in government. You understand? What I'm talking about is this accident that happened on the mountain there, you understand, near Lutrichat. Saskati, that accident, it's not the first accident. And the people are dying. A number of people are dying there. And it is nothing that the engineers or the government comes up with anything. You know, it's time, man, a government to do something about the Tabeng Mole, man. It's better maybe if trucks can take Vivo than run roads. You understand? Man, government, wake up and do something about that. Nearly every day people are dying there. Every day people are dying. Man, it's time government do something about that mountain near Luterchat.
Yeah, look, JCK, on the one hand, government needs to do something, but on the other hand, we also just need drivers to also take up that responsibility. JCK, I've been on that road many times, and sometimes people are just driving at such speed that they should not be driving it on that particular stretch of road. And it doesn't matter how well you think you might know it, how often you have used it. The reality is, if you're speeding and there's anything that distracts you, anything that needs a quick change of gear, a quick break, is that the consequences of it are just so harsh because of how the road bends. So yes, government must do more. And here, I don't even know what that more is, because they did put up barricades years back. The quality of that road, particularly as you're driving on that mountain, I've found to be really good.
It's money. And even myself, I drive over that mountain. Yeah, I bear with you and I understand what you are saying. Most of the responsibility as well must come from us as drivers to do something, man. I mean, over speeding, and the speed kills. With this international, especially international, these trucks and buses. I mean, let's have some people with vision. Maybe they can say something and they can do something. Let's save life. What are
JCK, I hear you, and it's devastating, right? To have over 40 people that were driving in that bus killed. All right, JCK.
And I'm sending my heartfelt condolences to the friends and the families of those people who died there. May their soul rest in power.
Yeah,
absolutely. Let me sign off, JCK. I'm down, man. I'm down.
Yeah. All right, JCK. And it's completely understandable. But, you know, from a government point of view, I don't know what more it is that government can do. Because it's not a very long stretch of road. But the way in which it bends and curves, even where the speed limit is 60, when you are driving that 60 and you don't know the road well, it's bad. So at some point, we also have to take the responsibility that says, yes, reasonable speed limit is 60, but actually, let me drive 50. Hey? Let me drive 50. Because there are other people on that road, and people drive so recklessly. So many times I've seen it in front of my eyes. Near misses of accidents where you just think, what is this person doing? And remember, it's a single lane both ways. Single lane both ways. So there's not that much movement. There's not that much room to maneuver. And you have a choice, the embankment or the mountain. Those are your only options. It's part of the conversation that we must have. Paul, you're in Babsfontein. Good morning.
Is that Paul?
Paul,
Hello?
This is Cathy. Good morning.
Oh, Cathy.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. a 2 minutes solution. Cathy,
Yes,
I
sir.
just wanted to comment on the Mohlahlana Commission and the ad hoc committee in Parliament.
Mm.
My concern is what we saw yesterday, last week, where 5 minutes we are listening, the next week we are out, we're back to the studio. We are asking, please, we want to listen to the commission. Today, just give us a full day. We want to listen to exactly what CD has to say. Because the commission was trying to raise a very important issue. In the process, then we went back to studio and we couldn't listen to that point. So we are asking, please tell the station manager, we are on our knees.
What are you asking for, Paul?
When we go to Parliament, when the
Yeah.
ad hoc committee is seated,
Yeah.
give us the full information. We want to listen to everything. Don't 5 minutes we're back to the studio, 2 minutes we're back this side, 4 minutes. You understand?
Yeah, no, but
Just
Paul,
let us-
but Paul, we've been playing the commission and the ad hoc inquiry since it began sitting.
Did you notice what happened last week? Did you pay attention what happened last week?
Oh,
Where when the commissioner of police was trying to give the evidence, and then
okay.
you understand.
I see. Look, you know what the challenge where you might see things like that happening, Paul, is
Yeah.
that the programming of these sittings don't always go according to what they have told us. And remember, we can't afford to have dead air. So sometimes you will find that things are not starting when scheduled. And
No.
we
It
have
was
to
in
bring
progress.
alternative programming to allow,
Yeah, just let me
yeah.
disturb you a little bit. It
Yeah.
was in process and was giving a very valid point, the commission. Once we were listening to the valid point, the next thing we went to the studio, there was news coming in. We can always listen to the news around 10 when we reach home.
Oh.
Because I'm a boat driver, so I depend upon listening to SAFM
So
for such
Paul,
information.
are you saying that when we cut for news, we shouldn't be taking news?
If we are still that side, let's finish that side. Then news we can always get it later
Yeah,
on.
no,
I don't
Paul.
know, Kate.
Paul. At the top of the hour, we have to take news. Look, we already cut out headlines. Hey, we already cut out headlines. But at the top of the hour, we have to take news because there
But
are
in this
other
case-
things that are happening.
Mega case. Let's put it this way. Right now, we are looking at the most valuable information over the state. We also want to know. But now, when certain parts miss us, and then you understand, then somebody says, "No, the commission
Paul,
says
news
you
is
can't
5
ask your boss
minutes.
to eat."
Paul, 5 minutes of news. When Trump is landing in Israel, you don't want to know the latest update of Trump landing in Israel. Paul.
Cathy, right now we've got our important issues in our country.
Paul. No, Paul. Let's be reasonable. Let's be reasonable. Let's be
No, I'm
reasonable.
being reasonable. They are trouble they want to take.
No, Paul.
We have the Salam Corners has made the most interesting year.
And yet he's also had so much airtime, right? But Paul, you are talking about 5 minutes of news. 5 minutes of news. And you're saying it's too much. It's too much.
Did you notice that? Okay.
What if you need to know about something dramatic that is happening where you are, Paul? If there's a hailstorm in your area, Paul, and you're on the road, you're going to get stuck in the hailstorm because now you don't want to hear what else is happening in the world.
No,
Paul.
I want to listen first what the commissioner has to say so that I can be able. I don't want to there's this saying in our language that in English they say, "Don't carry the smoke, carry the fire." I want to carry the fire. I don't want to carry the smoke. I want each and every details what the commission is saying.
Yeah, okay, Paul, I hear you, but I think taking news. Look, when the Madlanga Commission started, and we're hearing evidence from Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, we didn't take news. In fact, those first few days that he was giving evidence, we didn't take news. For 1 week, Zalma's confirming to me, for 1 week, we didn't take news while the commission was sitting. So let's also not try and pretend that there has been a dramatic shift in the way we do programming to accommodate that, because we know South Africans are hanging on to every word. Mara, let's be reasonable, because, Paul, tomorrow you are the same person who's going to take us to the BCCSA and make an argument for why you believe you were hard done by when you did not have a news bulletin. And the very same program managers are going to have to go and explain themselves to the BCCSA for why they did not bring news. So let's be reasonable. Are being reasonable, but Magdalene in Bloem?
Morning, Cathy and the listeners.
Morning.
I think it has been a long time that I haven't talked to you.
It has been a while, Magdalene. Go for it.
There was a reason why we sometimes need to talk to God and then get directed, then come back. Point is, Cathy, we South Africans, we need to be aware of something that, definitely we had eagerness and anxiety to get rid of apartheid in South Africa. But we never had democracy in South Africa. Instead, we're taken for a ride because of our anxiety by the ANC leadership. They had their own plans in order to come and take advantage of our votes for them to have their own self-enrichment. And with the very same power that we are giving to them, they want to keep it by just keeping on promising. These promises were in black and white. We're not talking about the verbal promises. We're talking about the Freedom Charter itself. We're talking about the Batupele principles, which are giving an encouragement that you'll be involved. You'll have an advantage of transparency. Those people will be in a position to can account to you. Those are the principles that we expected. But unfortunately, we experienced self-enrichment and keeping ANC into power. So the people of South Africa, it's high time that we get together and we get our own conscious minds and our own true belief and what we want as South Africans to say, let's come together and agree in getting our own president for South Africa. That's the only way to go.
Okay.
Otherwise, we are going to complain, but nothing will never happen. Instead, those people will cover themselves up like we are going for a visual.
Okay. Magdalene?
Meeting.
Let's leave it there, Magdalene. Thanks for that contribution. It's time for your latest news update.
In our top stories, Shedrick Sibiya to appear before the ad hoc committee and the Cradock 4 inquest continues today. Good morning. Suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner for Crime Detection, Shedrick Sibiya, will today appear before the ad hoc committee looking into concerns of national security. The committee was established to investigate allegations of criminal infiltration, corruption and political interference in the criminal justice system. The allegations were made by the KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. Sibiya will be the third witness to appear before the committee. During a briefing to the media after a search and seizure operation of his electronic devices at his Pretoria home, Sibiya said he was prepared to present his side of the story at the Madlanga Commission and the ad hoc committee.
I'm waiting also myself to have my day in the commission, at the Madlanga Commission. Ultimately, I will be charged. I expect to be pushed out. It's what is this whole thing all about. Remember, I've been through the eye of a needle. All of them are from KZN, of course, and that is unfortunate that this is how one province decides to behave the way it behaves, and the whole country is allowing this thing to happen, to carry on the way it's carrying on.
The second sitting of the inquest looking into the deaths of the Cradock 4 will resume in the Gqeberha High Court in the Eastern Cape today. The inquest is investigating if anyone can be held liable for the deaths of the political activists. They were abducted and murdered by apartheid security police outside of Gqeberha in 1985. Several persons of interest are expected to take to the stand when the inquest resumes. Amongst them is apartheid government assassin Eugene de Kock. Matthew Gonyowe's son, Nyanyeso, says the entire experience has been painful for him.
So it was an emotional time discussing the whole thing, where the bugs happened, the phone's been bugged, phone's been tapped. We went through the house, and yeah, just to me it brings back just painful memories. And also good ones, I suppose, but mostly just painful memories. I remember raids, stuff.
Limpopo Premier Popi Ramathuba is expected to visit the scene of the bus crash that killed 42 people and injured several others on the N1 outside of Louis Trichardt. Preliminary information indicates that the bus lost control and rolled down an embankment, landing on its roof. The bus was travelling from Gqeberha, the Eastern Cape, to Zimbabwe and Malawi. Ramathuba will meet with the multidisciplinary team which has been attending to the scene for updates. Anna Masipa reports.
Emergency services, including paramedics, transport officers and law enforcement officials, responded to the scene last night after the bus overturned in the mountainous area. Rescue operations continue late into the evening, with several injured passengers being transported to the nearby hospitals for medical care. Investigations led by traffic authorities and South African police services are currently underway to determine the cause of the crash. Psychosocial services are being offered to survivors. Consular services from Zimbabwe and Malawi are assisting the affected families.
Gauteng Education MEC Matome Chilwane says grade 1 and 8 parents can expect to start receiving offer letters from Thursday. Chilwane was speaking during an update on the online admissions placements for the 2026 academic year at Parktown High School for Girls in Johannesburg. Online applications for both grades closed at the end of August. Chilwane says failure to accept the offer within a period of 7 days could affect a learner's chance of securing a suitable school placement.
From the 16th of October, parents will be getting messages. And those messages will come through the cell phone that you were given to us. That's why I always emphasized on the importance of the cell phone, that number must be there. Make sure that you put the correct number at all times.
And finally, Hamas has handed over some of its last surviving Israeli hostages, with hundreds of cheering people gathered in Tel Aviv's Hostages Square. Israel's military said it had received the first 7 of 20 surviving hostages after their transfer out of Gaza by the Red Cross. The remaining 13 confirmed living hostages, along with the bodies of 26 dead hostages and another 2 whose fate is unknown, is also expected to be released today, along with nearly 2,000 Palestinian detainees and convicted prisoners. Recapping the top stories, suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner for Crime Detection, Shedrick Sibiya, will today appear before the ad hoc committee looking into concerns of national security. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide.
Youth football is on a real vibration in Chile. 24 under-20 national teams are fighting for the ultimate glory. Rally behind African champions, Amachita, including 3 continental representatives, Egypt, Morocco, and Nigeria. This is the 2025 FIFA Under-20 World Cup. Catch the action live on SABC 1, SABC Plus, SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4, and SABC radio stations from 27 September to 20 October 2025. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game. Amavu, we have a big plan to finish as high as possible in Group C. However, Bafana Hugo believe nothing will stop them from collecting 3 points. This is the 2026 FIFA World Cup African qualifier. Catch South Africa versus Rwanda on Tuesday, 14 October at 5:30 p.m. Live on SABC3, SABC Plus, and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Then on SABC radio stations at 6 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
This October month, SAFM focuses on cybersecurity awareness. As we live more of our lives online, staying safe in the digital world has never been more important. From spotting cyber threats to protecting your personal data, SAFM brings you the conversations that empower you to stay secure. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
Ten after 9 o'clock. Welcome to the second hour of the show. Coming up in this hour, in fact, we had scheduled to have a conversation looking at the work that the Madlanga Commission has been doing so far, the revelations that we have heard, and the kind of picture that it paints about the state of South Africa today. So that's what we'll be unpacking within the next hour of the show. Before we get into it, lots of your WhatsApp voice notes on different issues this morning. We'll play those voice notes and then continue with the show.
Good morning, Cathy and SAFM listeners. On a lighter note, I think the adjournment is something good so that we can focus on our calculations for the Bafana clash tomorrow. Yes, Ranako from Kimberley. Bye.
Morning, my sister. You know what? I think this commission should pull up its socks, because it can't be like this. They've gone for a long time, and then when they come, they just adjourn, and then they are gone again. You see, my sister, because we as people on the ground, we will be thinking now, maybe they are busy cooking up something, because we know all these people from South Africa, politicians, we know them, how cruel they are. So if they are doing these things, I think maybe the public will not trust this commission. Thank you, my sister.
Morning, Cathy. You know, I wasn't going to send a voice note until I heard Paul. I mean, come on. Some people are just, unreasonable. SAFM has been doing a really good job in covering the ad hoc committee and the Madlanga Commission. Now, like really, Paul is being unreasonable, wanting news, not like use 5 minutes. And you normally don't miss a lot. You can pick up from the following conversation as to what happened before the news. So I don't think we're missing out on a lot and missing out on good information. There's other ways to find out in the information that you might have missed. You can go also to YouTube. You can search anywhere the parliamentary sittings and all. It's always there. Paul. Come on, Paul. I'm fit, Simon. Oh, come on. Just be reasonable. Thank you, Cathy.
Hi, Casey. For the Tutula movement, I will remind them that humanity comes first, Ubuntu, before the constitution, before the territorial divide, before the big pocket, who's paying who. Ubuntu buzakala bosisi no puti. Please.
Oh, Ziki, Mzeke. But Cathy, I like how you dealt with him. But you, the likes of him, I don't know what to say about them.
Oh, my daughter, I've always wondered, where is Zeke in Randbeck? Oh, Sapila Lumpem. Well, his views are always predictable. Zolo to speaks the unemployed graduate in Bombela.
Good morning, Cathy. Aaron here. This is a very crucial time for the Senzo Mkhunu appearance in Parliament. It's either a do or die for the ANC if they are not careful, because it's either they choose the ANC or they choose the country. The line of questioning, the way they question, we will check whether are they there to protect the ANC and the minister, or are they there to serve the country. They need to be very careful not to play too much politics in such a serious matter. Thank you.
Asket, good morning. It's Kosnat here. Look, my sister Paul is playing with you. There is no such that you cannot listen to the news. When you listen to other radio stations, they don't broadcast it like SAF is doing. SAFM is the number one in terms of broadcasting that Madlanga Commission and ad hoc commission.
This October month, SAFM shines a light on mental health awareness. This month, we bring you conversations that break the stigma, encourage care, and provide strategies to protect your mental well-being. Because it's okay not to be okay. And together, we can build a healthier tomorrow. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. This October month, SAFM focuses on cybersecurity awareness. As we live more of our lives online, staying safe in the digital world has never been more important. From spotting cyber threats to protecting your personal data, SAFM brings you the conversations that empower you to stay secure. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. This October month, SAFM joins the world in breast cancer awareness. We bring you conversations that highlight the importance of early detection, survivor stories that inspire hope, and expert advice that could save lives. Together, let's spread awareness and support the fight against breast cancer. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Cathy Mohlahlana is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X at SAFM Radio.
Well, we thought it would be important for us perhaps to reflect on the work that has come out of the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. And in many ways, you could also, I guess, add a footnote there for the work coming out of the ad hoc committee and that particular inquiry. Yes, these are very separate processes, but in their own right have revealed what is happening within our security cluster and just the role of politicians, alleged role of politicians, political players in some of these processes, and in particular in operational matters. But having heard all that we have, what do you believe it says about South Africa today? What is the state that you believe we are in? And number two, how do you think that we can begin to repair the damage, to repair the image of this country? Well, to lead us in this conversation is Professor Ntsikelelo Breakfast. He is the director of the Center for Security, Peace and Conflict Resolution at the Nelson Mandela University. Professor Breakfast, good morning to you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Also part of this conversation is Tshepo Matseba, Managing Director at Reputation First Group and also Strategic Partner at Ebony and Ivory Integrated Communication Agency. Tshepo, good morning to you.
Good morning, Cathy. Thank you for inviting me.
Professor Breakfast, part of what we have heard South Africans express is just this sentiment, and people will say that, South Africa is a movie. Or they'll say, it's just one yo after the other. It's like yo. one gets a sense that there's a level of speechlessness in as far as really trying to articulate how many are processing the information that is coming forward, right? And I think at the heart of that is really the veil being lifted on the individuals who have been benefiting from state contracts and who have been enriching their lives, sometimes at the back of service delivery and lack of non-delivery of services where ordinary people are concerned. So for you, what is the picture that is emerging?
So, first of all, I think citizens have not gone overboard. I think they are on point due to what is happening because, for instance, now we are talking about the issue of security. Security is not only limited to the state. Security also has to do with the welfare of citizens. It has to do with the economy development, because if the security apparatus is not up to scratch, that will definitely affect other aspects of the country. I mean, for instance, who wants to invest in a country where the security and the architecture is basically compromised? So, I mean, the issues that have been brought to bear on these platforms, I think they have made many of us to be taken aback. Not to say that we did not know about some of the challenges that we have, but I mean, if the issue of security is not addressed, I don't think that as a country we really have a future, unfortunately.
One of the other things, Ntsikelelo, that one has observed is that because the allegations seem to, in many ways, affirm what South Africans have been suspecting, what South Africans have long been feeling is happening in the country. To some extent, there really isn't a lot of questioning, at least not from the public, around the veracity, the credibility of some of these statements. It's almost as if, there's an acceptance that no, whatever is said must be true.
Yes. No, I think that's a very good question because, sometimes I think we tend to be excited when someone breaks a story and accept the argument that is advanced by the person uncritically. I think the way you have framed your question is informed by a commissioner of KZN who unveiled, I would say at the moment, the so-called facts, because that's why there are these platforms to verify them. But some people now want to accept his version of the story uncritically without engaging with it, which is dangerous. But I mean, I guess maybe one might argue and say it's simply because people are sick and tired of the way things are, that the way things are is not the way things should be. And maybe they think that what he says is gospel truth or cast in a stone. But I think we have to be very critical because there will be a platform, like for instance, today we might have an antithesis of what arose out of the narrative that has been framed in the public discourse.
Yeah, and part of what this process is supposed to bring about is that it's supposed to bring about a level of not only transparency but also accountability.
Yes.
And one of the things that struck me when the National Police Commissioner was before Parliament last week is that we, of course, are in a critical state when one looks at law enforcement more generally, right? We have this policing crisis. And when the members of parliament were asking the commissioner questions, it seems that part of why they have been, it's almost as if the entire failures of the SAPS have now been reduced to this moment of the allegations and the political interference that is being investigated. And I wonder what you make of that, because even when we talk about the state of crime intelligence and the concerns that have long existed around the state of crime intelligence, when MPs were asking the commissioner questions about this, it was as if he was not the national commissioner of crime intelligence. It was as if he was not the person that was overseeing crime intelligence and had the ability to make decisions about what was happening in that particular division of the SAPS.
So you have two platforms. Let me focus on Parliament. In the beginning, I thought the manner in which the questions were framed, I thought in the beginning they were fair and square. Then I realized that no, these questions are inspired by politics. You know, some people will ask questions which have nothing to do with the scope of what is being examined, but have to do with certain sections. A case in point is the issue of Phala Phala. I'm not saying that it should not be brought to bear, but I just think that it was a bit off the mark, the manner in which the question arose. But of course, there were other questions. But coming back to the people who brought the evidence and who were testifying, yeah, some of them, they came across to be, out of their depth, and you find that, there are certain questions which are raised, demanding answers, but the person is not presenting a case which is very much convincing. I guess, Parliament is a political platform, and I'm quite happy from my standpoint that you have these two separate processes. But I think in the final analysis, it will be very interesting when we juxtapose now these findings, because if the findings are valid, they have to link. If other findings, they say this, then the other ones, they say that, I'm going to be a bit critical.
Tsepo, while all of this is unfolding, there, of course, is a picture that is being painted about SA Inc., as it were. As somebody who studies pictures in the form of brands and communication, what is the picture that is emerging, Tsepo? What does it say about who we are as a nation right now?
Thank you, Cathy. I think there are two and probably more scenarios that we could paint about the picture that is being created about South Africa's image and brand, and perhaps its reputation. The first scenario is that we are a transparent nation, that we, despite being faced with facing difficult challenges of trust, difficult challenges of trustworthiness in the most critical component of our governance, in the police, in the security cluster, and in the most senior layers of the police. And I think despite all of that, South Africa is willing to put the dialogue in public and have a discussion openly about what this means for our country, debunk the myths, and openly share with the public, criticize and be criticized by the world. And so we are laying public all of this for everyone to see. And the second, I think, a component of it is that it allows the world to see our security apparatus our security system or police system, things that are going wrong and bad in public in a way that, to a certain extent, you wish that there may have been a filter, if such a thing might exist, so that our national intelligence issues are not exposed internationally. Because right now we are talking really openly, we are talking live, we are telling people that we can't actually interpret some information, that we can't record some information that was being shared between different members of the public, which if I'm part of a criminal network internationally, I might be given intelligence already that South Africa is not able to do A, B, and C, and therefore it's weakening the level of our intelligence and the way we are perceived. But the third component, it's really bad for us when a minister of police and senior police commissioners take each other on, especially in the middle of a process where we are trying to exit greylisting, so that we strengthen South Africa's positioning as a favorable investment destination in Africa. And that's a serious problem, because investors go into an environment to put money in an environment that is predictable and that is secure, and where they can trade effectively, but trade in a way that markets are predictable, that the financial instruments are predictable and safe and sophisticated. And we know that the banking system in South Africa is secure, safe mostly, and it's advanced. But when we have a police environment like we have, the things that we're hearing in this commission may actually compromise the image of the country to a point where trust is diffused.
We'll continue with this conversation shortly. It's 10:30.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, the Mohlahlana Commission, which is looking into criminality, corruption and political interference in the criminal justice system, has adjourned following an opposition application to host proceedings in camera. The opposition application was brought by media companies Daily Maverick and Media 24. Suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner for Crime Detection, Shadrack Sibiya, will today appear before the ad hoc committee looking into concerns of national security. The committee was established to investigate allegations of criminal infiltration, corruption and political interference in the criminal justice system. And the South African Revenue Service has confirmed a major narcotics bust at the Durban harbour, where 30 bricks of drugs worth an estimated 65 million rand were seized. I'll have details on these and other stories at 11.
Taking a look at your markets this morning, the rand is currently trading at 17 rand 29 to the dollar, 23 rand 05 to the pound, and 20 rand 07 to the euro. Markets in Asia were weaker at the closing bell, the JSE mainly higher in mid-morning trade. Markets in Europe have extended gains this hour. Gold is trading at $4,073, platinum $1,643 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $63.65 a barrel.
Cathy Mohlahlana is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X at SAFM Radio.
All right, we continue the conversation on the talking point. And of course, we're still reflecting on the state of the nation and what it is that some of these revelations that have come before the Mohlahlana Commission of Inquiry and the ad hoc inquiry, what those processes have revealed about what is really happening within our nation. Tsepo, you used a very important word earlier before we go into news. You said this shows that we are a transparent country. How important is that in the context not only of democracy, but also when we think about democracy in other countries and really what happens in other countries? And perhaps it's something that we as South Africans don't give some of our institutions enough credit for, that the fact that it can even happen in the first place says that all is not lost with our democracy.
Yeah. So I think transparency is very, very important, and it shows that amid complex and very, very sensitive situations. South Africans, as we've historically done post-democracy through the TRC and most recently through the State Capture Commission, but we are able to actually use these forums to have conversation and engage in constructive conversation, build trust with communities, because this not only affects South Africa internationally, it also does affect us domestically in terms of trust within the citizenry. So there is opportunity to position the country as we are in other parts of the world, trying to help in terms of conflict resolution, and that South Africa is actually standing truly firm on these principles of democracy, of dialogue, of constructive engagement, open engagement, and that strengthens our position, I guess, globally, as a peace sort of and a peaceful mediator in complex conflict. In other countries, this could have been people could be up in arms at the moment, and it could be a very different exchange. But here it's happening in South Africa on camera for everyone throughout the world to see. And I think that for me strengthens our value proposition. It's a highly transparent, highly committed, a nation that's highly committed to democratic principles that are in line with our constitution. It's a positive strength, and it's a strength, though it has some limitations, because as a commissioner, I guess, in terms of the terms of reference, you might want to consider to what extent are we going to discuss everything in public, and whether there's opportunity for some of the discussions to happen in camera.
Ntsikelelo, one of the other positives to come out of this, I think, usually when we look at how previous commissions and other inquiries have unfolded, even though some of those proceedings have been taken live, the level of interest has not quite been as high as we are seeing right now, where it feels like the entire country is following step by step, day by day, what it is that witnesses are saying. I think that that's also important. I think that that's also good, that we are as engaged and as involved in these developments as we are.
Yes, Cathy. There is a strong nexus between us and the powers that be. We vote for a government. Therefore, we want to know what the government is up to. Is the government abiding by the mandate that we have kind of like given it, or is the government off the mark? Now, the issue of accountability is one of the hallmarks of democracy. Without that, I think democracy will collapse. But at the same time, you also have to limit that principle. For instance, you must have heard General Mkhwanaza saying that no, this issue cannot be laid bare in public because it will pose a threat to the country. I think that's a global phenomenon. But of course, I think there must be a justifiable argument for that. So I think people are well aware that I think for us as a country, this is a do or die situation, because if we don't close these gaps, I can bet my bottom dollar our democracy will never flourish. So really we have to address the foundation of security.
The other thing, of course, that is quite important is around credibility, and how these processes in some ways are supposed to also help to restore credibility. But the question is, what is it that they will need to do? Because these processes are unfolding in an environment in which South Africans have become incredibly skeptical, incredibly distrusting of anything that the government does. Anything that the government does is received firstly with skepticism, then anything else. But we'll continue with that conversation and look into the issue of credibility shortly.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
Bafana Bafana will host Rwanda in the final FIFA 2026 World Cup qualifier at the Mbombela Stadium on Tuesday, 14 October 2025 at 6 p.m. Tickets are now available nationwide and online from 70 Rand for adults and 40 Rand for children on all Ticket Pro outlets including Spar, Postnet and all petrol stations. Get your tickets early to avoid disappointment. This is the final push for Bafana Bafana and supporters should show up by the numbers. Gates will open at 3 p.m. If you are not in Mbombela, catch the game on SABC3. For more info, visit safa.net and at Bafana Bafana on all social media platforms.
The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
Well, you're listening to The Talking Point as we continue to lead conversations that move us. Tsepo Matseba, Professor Nzikelelo Breakfast on the line. Tsepo, did you want to weigh in on that issue of credibility that I touched on before we went to break?
Yeah, I mean, I think, broadly speaking, as a nation and especially as a nation brand, South Africa does come across as a credible institution, a credible place for businesses to thrive, a credible place for citizens, for tourists, for experts to come and live and do business, and for investors to come and trade. Because we have an integrated offering that we offer to the world, and that offering does work. And obviously, as citizens in the country, domestically, we are far more critical about our country than sometimes, to a point where we don't give ourselves credit where credit is due. So I think the bigger challenge is that the leaders of an important arm of government seem to be heavily compromised, and they're bickering and they're throwing stones and rocks at each other. But unfortunately, the pain, the one institution that's going to feel the pain the most is a pain called South Africa Incorporated. It's an institution called the country. It's the brand of the country, the image of the country that's going to suffer, because long after they are all gone, South Africa will be here, and South Africa would have gone through these difficulties. We remember that we had some difficulties in the past with the police commissioner, the late Jackie Levy. And long after he's passed, we still have South Africa to live with, and the South African police would need to honestly rework in itself in terms of communicating its values and its commitment to the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, its commitment to fulfill that which it has been created to fulfill, which is to keep this country and the citizens safe. And the minute you have this setup that there's too many friendships and too many linkages between the police and criminal cartels and hardcore criminals, and it creates a worrisome picture that sends chilling signals as to whether we can now continue to trust the police and whether they have credibility to run the affairs of safety and security in the country. It's a very difficult position to be in, especially when even the political appointees, as a minister, stand accused of this sort of a conundrum of being engaged in excessive levels of connections with criminals. We're yet to see the outcomes of this commission, but I think this is a pivotal moment in our country and that can help us to rebuild our image as a secure environment and as a country that is run through the law of the country, and that everyone actually is equal before the law, irrespective of the position they hold.
Nzikelelo, is there anything you want to add before I bring in some of our listeners?
Yes. So first of all, I think it's important that we have a public that is critically engaged in the affairs of the country, because based on the research that I've been doing, countries that have been able to fight against corruption are countries that have institutions which are strong. Secondly, are countries which have a public which is critical about government. Now, countries that tend to do the exact opposite are countries where people fold their arms and say, well, we are throwing in the towel, we are sick and tired of this, blah, blah, blah. So all is not lost. I think as a public, we need to be critical, not just engaged, but critical, because to be engaged can also mean that you accept everything that government says. We must be critical, question things, and by so doing, I think we'll be able to build upon what others have done before us.
Okay, yeah, and it's such an important point, right? And also, I think maybe just to add to what you're saying, Zikelelo, questioning in and of itself should not be a problem. So when one questions what it is that the police are saying, it doesn't mean that one suddenly is trying to stand up for those that are involved in any wrongdoing. But is that the story must go through. We must follow it to its logical conclusion.
Yes,
and we must be satisfied that that is what has happened. But sometimes I don't get the impression that it is a frame of mind that a lot of South Africans are open to. Because if you're questioning anything now, you're seeing as being unpatriotic. You're seeing as not supporting the courage and the bravery of even an individual like Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi for coming up with this information.
Yes, you've hit the nail on the head. We have to appreciate complexities, because I can say this or that because I want to achieve something else. I'm not saying that is the case now. All I'm saying is that we need this critical mind, because someone can frame a discourse with a particular motive. So we must always be open-minded as a country. Like you said, question things until they can withstand the test of time. Yes, sometimes the public, not all the time, it tends to be gullible, we accept things without questioning. I just think that we need to do a bit more in terms of critical thinking as a country, so that we can strengthen a democracy.
I want to bring in Churchill in Mthatha. Churchill, good morning.
Good morning, Cathy. Very interesting conversation. You know what, Cathy? They say when you pray for rain, you must expect mud as well. Some say every dark cloud will get a silver lining. When we're yearning for this democracy in its entirety is not a perfect system. In fact, there's no perfect system. But look, there's one thing that is being underrated in this country. It's you guys, journalists. South Africa is very fortunate to have very powerful journalists, because some of these issues, are coming to the fore and are being unpacked by our journalism, our journalists. You guys are doing a sterling job. Yes, we're seeing what is happening in the Madlanga Commission, the Zono Commission, and so on and so on. But in other countries, journalists are simply squashed. They are unable to perform their work. So I think there's one thing that we must celebrate, our journalists, and which is enshrined in our constitution. Yes, we might criticize it, yes, but even democracy itself is not a perfect system. So that is enshrined in our constitution. Our press freedom, journalism, is very powerful. Thank you.
Yeah, and Churchill, I think even in acknowledging what you're saying, right, it's not to say that the work that journalists do is perfect. And it's also not to say that that work should not be scrutinized. So when there are allegations made, and if one thinks about just the allegations that Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi has made around journalists who he believes are part of certain groups that are used to drive different agendas and are in fact also being paid for this, those allegations must be taken seriously.
Absolutely.
Because they take away from the work of all the other hard-working individuals that
Yes.
are simply trying to do their jobs with honesty and with integrity. So I take that recognition, Churchill, and I say that, yes, absolutely, journalists have been doing a great job, but that is not to say that even they are beyond scrutiny, that even they are beyond the critical thinking that Ntsikelelo has been speaking about.
Thank you, Cathy.
All right. And I guess there should be no holy cows. There should be no holy cows. We're going to take more of your calls and also some of your WhatsApp voice notes shortly.
Pneumococcal disease can strike at any time, especially if you live with a chronic condition or have weakened immunity. If you're 19 and older with the chronic disease, vaccination can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia. The risk increases for people 65 and older, and vaccination is advised to help prevent serious illness. Ask your healthcare professional about pneumococcal vaccination. Don't wait. Vaccinate. Brought to you by Pfizer.
This summer, the continent unites for the biggest football showdown in Africa. The Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations Morocco 2025 is coming to your screens, live and available on SABC TV channels, SABC Sport, SABC Plus, and across your favorite SABC radio stations. Catch all 52 thrilling matches, stand behind Bafana Bafana, and experience every goal, every cheer, and every victory from 21 December 2025 to 18 January 2026. SABC Sport brings you all the AFCON 2025 action, live and free, because it's game on everywhere.
For the love of the game.
Bafana will host Rwanda in the final FIFA 2026 World Cup qualifier at the Mbombela Stadium on Tuesday, 14 October 2025 at 6 p.m. Tickets are now available nationwide and online from 70 Rand for adults and 40 Rand for children on all Ticket Pro outlets including Spar, Postnet and all petrol stations. Get your tickets early to avoid disappointment. This is the final push for Bafana and supporters should show up by the numbers. Gates will open at 3 p.m. If you are not in Mbombela, catch the game on SABC3. For more info, visit safa.net and at Bafana on all social media platforms.
Call us on 086 000 2032.
Good morning, Cathy and the listeners. Cathy, what Mr. Mkhwanazi said is what we have said before. Because I was in the police. I reported the issue whereby generals were covering for criminals. Criminals with gun, with the magistrate stamps, criminals. I gave this information even to Bekitel. He never done anything. So, Tina, my last resort was to resign from SAPS. I resigned. So what Mkhwanazi is coming with is not what is new. We've been saying this. You know, even to ministers, nothing ever happened. Now because it's Mkhwanazi, the media is up in arms and say Mkhwanazi what? We've been there before Mkhwanazi, giving them information about generals who are in the pockets of the criminals. Criminals coming with you, American dollars given to generals. Thank you, Cathy. Bye-bye.
Cathy, I don't understand why the Madanga or the media houses, two media houses, wants to, or why, let me say, I don't know why Madanga wants an in-camera situation with the media houses. Because already we know who the writer, the author of the SAPS properties are from News 24. And he's been on Carte Blanche last night. So there is no secret. Teresa.
Yeah, look, Teresa, I think the evidence leaders will also give reasons in their application for why there should be these the in-camera sessions. Nhlanhla, you in KZN, good morning.
Good morning, my sister Kate.
Good morning, my brother Nhlanhla. Go for it.
My sister, The issue of Mohlahlana and Mkhwanazi, it speaks about the state of our democracy, my sister. And it's a pity that after 30 years, we still have to find ourselves in this situation. Politicians working with criminals, president being told that certain matters need to be attended. He says he will attend them. Political task team issue. He knew about it. And he never did anything. And we are saying we've got a president, a democratic president in this country. Families have lost their loved ones. They're still mourning. Just like how the people of Marikana are still mourning. It's business as usual. It's making dollars, making money, it's rich, it's sorted. And the families are still complaining. Even the issue of Chrisane happened in front of him. Yanis Jalous, he escaped in front of him. Families are still complaining. To him, it's business as usual. And then we must say we've got a democratic president, or we still enjoy the values or the principles of democracy, such as a communal understanding of society in which the community stress over individual. Not this issue of individual being praised than us.
Okay.
Both us and the community.
Okay.
It's sad, my sister.
Nkanka, we leave it there with you. Parks, you're in Cape Town. Good morning.
Good morning, Cathy, and good morning to Professor Sigelo Breakfast. Yes, I just want to say that, Cathy, as much as Dr. Breakfast is saying that giving all of these examples of how our country's democracy is present and available, and also how it has been strengthened over the years. It speaks to the issue of leadership as to who us as citizens decide each and every time we go to the ballot to say we want this particular president or this particular government to administrate our country. Now, in many countries, Cathy, which are much smaller than ours in South Africa, they've got a government system that actually works, that does not require politicians. Politicians become irrelevant in those countries. Now, to the current situation we are sitting with, where not just the police ministry, but policing in general is being exposed as is in jeopardy. We need to look at all the other agencies which work with policing. That would be border management, the intelligence agency itself, and where they are continuously lacking in terms of being able to assist our democracy to be strengthened and actually to be realized by ordinary citizens. Lastly, Cathy, in KZN or in Durban, we've got the biggest port that operates in South Africa and in the Southern African region. But it's surprising to find that they only have one scanner which actually processes everything that comes in and goes out of our country. Now, with all the guns that have been seen committing all of these political killings and various other crimes that are out there in the streets that are not registered, nor identified where they are coming from, it speaks to that very issue. And also the fact that there is no scanner also on the roads, where things that are transported by road in and out of our borders created a problem which jeopardizes our security as the sovereign country.
Okay,
Yes,
Pax.
so I'd like to end it there, Kev.
All right. Thanks for that contribution. And I think it really points to the different layers that we could be improving on that ultimately feed into this picture that we're seeing. What Pax is saying is important, because if goods are able to make their way into the country undetected, they end up on South Africa's streets. It leads to the problems that we're facing around guns, around drugs, etc., etc. And so tightening up the system includes, yes, dealing with the corrupt officials on the inside, but then also making sure that these goods are not able to make their way into our country in the first place. Tsepo, let me give you a chance to go first as we conclude this conversation. Sometimes it feels like it's all falling apart, but if I've heard you correctly, it's more good than bad. That this is it's a good thing that we are here as a country.
Oh, yes. I think there's far more value that we're going to derive in terms of the reputational equity of the country. In a globalized economy, we know that reputation is cumulative. And so each headline linking police and corruption with South Africa, it really chips away the country's credibility. But investors are watching and citizens are watching, and that allows for conversation about South Africa to happen. It's a constructive conversation that South Africa is actually dealing with its challenges and dealing with crime decisively.
Ntsikelelo?
Yes. Cathy, there is no democratic system that is perfect, but that doesn't mean that we must accept anything, because we understand that democracy by nature is not perfect. I think there must be a standard, for a political landscape of a democracy. Secondly, the issue of leadership is also key, because, there are countries like Germany, and I'm not trying to compare apples and pears. Germany was almost destroyed after the Second World War. But today, Germany is one of the best countries on a global scale in terms of development, economy, precisely because of leadership. And I think as a country, with regard to that, we are on the back foot. We really fall short in a big way.
All right, that is fantastic. Thank you so much for that contribution. Professor Ntsikelelo Breakfast, Director of the Center for Security, Peace and Conflict Resolution at the Nelson Mandela University, and Tsepo Matseba, Managing Director at Reputation First Group and also Strategic Partner at Ebony and Ivory Integrated Communication Agency. Here's your latest news update. I see that the ad hoc committee has already started sitting, so on the other side of news, we'll go straight into the work of that committee.
In our top stories, the Mohlahlana Commission of Inquiry has adjourned, and University of the Free State students to make their first court appearance. Good morning. The Mohlahlana Commission, which is looking into criminality, corruption and political interference in the criminal justice system, has adjourned following an opposition application to host proceedings in camera. The opposition application was brought by media companies Daily Maverick and Media 24. During last week's scheduled adjournment, the Mohlahlana Commission announced it would bring an application before the inquiry to host the proceedings in camera due to the sensitivity of the evidence. Evidence leader Advocate Matthew Chaskelson elaborates.
The commissioners are in agreement with that. We could answer it by 5 today. And together with our answer, we would file any written argument that we thought might assist the Commission, and we've asked Mr. Du Plessis if his team would similarly file any written argument by 5.
Meanwhile, suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner for Crime Detection, Shedrick Sibia, is appearing before the ad hoc committee looking into concerns of national security. The committee was established to investigate allegations of criminal infiltration, corruption and political interference in the criminal justice system. The allegations were made by the KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. Sibiya is the third witness to appear before the committee during a briefing to the media after a search and seizure operation of his electronic devices at his Pretoria home. Sibiya said he was prepared to present his side of the story at the Mohlahlana Commission and the ad hoc committee.
I'm waiting also myself to have my day in the commission, at the Mohlahlana Commission. Ultimately, I will be charged. I expect to be pushed out. It's what is this whole thing all about. Remember, I've been through the eye of a needle. All of them are from KZN, of course, and that is unfortunate that this is how one province decides to behave the way it behaves, and the whole country is allowing this thing to happen, to carry on the way it's carrying on.
The South African Revenue Service has confirmed a major narcotics bust at the Durban harbour, where 30 bricks of drugs worth an estimated 65 million rand were seized. In a statement, SARS says the drugs were handed over to the Hawks for further investigation, prosecution and destruction. Luyanda Danga reports.
SARS says the collaborative intelligence-led operation was carried out by the Durban Customs Enforcement Team in the early hours of Sunday morning. It says the team intercepted a vessel off the east coast before escorting it to port. The drugs were found hidden in the refrigeration units of the vessel.
And finally, University of the Free State students are gathered outside the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court ahead of the appearance of 6 students who were arrested on Friday night. They were arrested for malicious damage to property and attempted arson. This as students continue to protest against the scrapping of provisional registration that's set for implementation next year. They started marching at the main campus in Bloemfontein from the early hours of this morning in an attempt to disrupt the academic activities. Recapping the top story, the Mohlahlana Commission, which is looking into criminality, corruption and political interference in the criminal justice system, has adjourned following an opposition application to host proceedings in camera. For SFM News, I am Anne Musa.
The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
I can't make you to rise. You just raise your hand, and South Africans who are following us on television will then know who is Honorable Tlhophe. So you are an alternate member in this committee. We welcome you, and we must also inform you that the committee has agreed on the participation of alternate members during the proceedings. They do not have the right to vote in terms of the rules, and sometimes their participation is limited to the discretion of the chairperson. Honorable Breitenbach has used the word reasonable. This is the word that is pervasive in this hall or in this proceeding. So you have a very benevolent chairperson, so you must not be worried. And we are trying by all means to ensure that there is equal treatment of all the alternate delegates that we have here. So we invite you to enjoy the privileges that are being enjoyed by the rest of the members and the alternates. Senior Counsel, before we administer oath on General Sibiya, can I check if you want to say something?
Thank you, Honourable Chair, Honourable Members. Yeah, just in relation to Honourable Member and Advocate Breitenbach, I did on Friday, when I became aware of the founding affidavit in the application before the Gauteng High Court deposed to by Brigadier Kuneni, who's the investigating officer for the search and seizure warrants against General Sabia, Minister Mkhunu, and Mr. Kabinde, that two of the complainants in that matter, other than General Mkhwanazi, were actually, one was a full member of this committee, the other an alternate member. I brought this to their attention on Friday. I said I intend raising it with you, and I indicated that I think this constitutes a conflict, given our terms of reference, that we will act fairly, and that it's clearly not fair for someone who has been a complainant in a matter against one of our witnesses to also then sit on this committee, having already arguably prejudged the matter, hence the complaint. In the case of the DA, Honourable Member Breitenbach had indicated to me on Friday already that the alternate member would be withdrawn. She agrees. And the other member, who's not here unfortunately, but I understand from his party's communique that I've seen over the weekend, I'm not sure whether it's official yet, that he had been withdrawn anyway. I don't know whether it's because of this issue or some other issue, but we can proceed, Chair, on the basis that, none of the two members are present.
Who is that other member?
Honourable Member Kakana.
We don't have that honourable member in this committee.
Skosana, sorry.
Oh.
Skosana. Sorry, apologies.
Honourable Member Skosana.
Yeah, and I had also been in WhatsApp communication with him, quite a few WhatsApps. He was sitting next to me on Friday.
Okay. No, it's fine. I think the honourable members from MKP have just arrived now towards the conclusion of the matter. Let's not delay the proceedings. I think we will give them a briefing at break so that we do the work of the committee. Chief Whip.
Morning, Chair. Morning to colleagues and morning to the General and his team. I think, Chair, the issues raised by the Senior Counsel are very important.
Yeah.
Now, we have to avoid a situation where I understand why you are saying let's defer the matter to brief the colleagues during lunch. But what happens when the member in question walks in and want to participate? My sense is that you might end up with a very bad situation where you are now disrupting the actual proceedings. Rather than, I would advise you, Chair, because the leadership of the MKP is now here, you give them a briefing of what we're talking about and allow them an opportunity to say something about it. I would suggest that we take it in that way, thanks. So that when we begin, we are uninterrupted. Thanks.
Okay. Do you want to say something, Senior Counsel?
Honourable Chair.
Do you want to say something?
Nothing further except just on housekeeping. There's a bundle of additional documents that has now been made available to us by General Sabia's legal team. We are aware of these documents. We have discussed them with this team, but the committee would not have had sight of them. We have asked for these documents to be made available ASAP. So hopefully that will not prevent us from proceeding. The honourable members will obviously have them before their opportunity comes to ask questions of the general. The delay in them making these documents available is perfectly understandable. They arise from testimony given by General Mkhwanazi and most recently on Friday by General Masemola. But then our draft statement and their input into that statement was far advanced. So they only had a further opportunity after Friday and over the weekend to review their situation and make these documents available. So in the circumstances, Honourable Chair, I would suggest that we condone, as it were, the late filing of these documents. They are definitely relevant to the issues before the Honourable Committee, and that we should nevertheless proceed. And as soon as the printers have made the other bundles available, the committee members will receive them. Thank you, Chair.
Honourable Nomvalo and Honourable Shongwe, good morning and welcome. We read and accepted your apologies, and during the proceedings, when you have not yet arrived, a matter arose regarding two honourable members of this committee, Honourable Shikeleng from the DA and Honourable Skosana from the MKP, that in the documents that have been served at the court, the names of the two honourable members appear as complainants. And so the DA has informed the committee that they have written to the Speaker of Parliament to inform the office that they are bringing Honourable Klopper as the new member to this committee. And Honourable Klopper is sitting second right from Honourable Breitenbach. And the senior counsel has formally raised this matter here in the proceedings, that there is also the name of Honourable Skosana. And I'm informed that your party has also returned to the Speaker. Can you confirm that?
Chair, no, the party has not returned to the Speaker. In relation to what, Chair, if I may ask?
To the matter of Honourable Skosana being a complainant in the matter involving General Spear.
No, as far as I know, Chair, there is no letter to that effect. But Chair, if I may ask, that in accordance with the view of the legal counsel, then what becomes an issue if Honourable Skosana is a complainant? What is the issue? Where is the problem?
Okay. Let me give it to the senior counsel to explain.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Just in response to Honourable Members' query, I initially thought it prudent to raise it privately and directly with the members concerned, albeit in the case of Honourable Member Schikkeling, I messaged Advocate Breitenbach directly because I had a number on my phone. But I raised it with Honourable Member Skosana directly, and I had indicated I'm raising it with you now because I intend to raise it with the chairperson, who will no doubt raise it with the committee. But before we do that, I thought it was prudent that they take a view on it so that I could inform you. I think Honourable Member Breitenbach did so on Friday already during lunchtime. And yeah, and the basis, I think it's with respect pretty clear. Honourable Member Skosana is a complainant. There are two complainants in the criminal matter. If one has regard, I don't know if he had an opportunity of looking at the affidavit filed in the search and seizure application. That affidavit makes it clear that the criminal charges that they intend to bring against, amongst others, General Sabia, Minister Mkhunu, and Mr. Nkabinde, they arise directly from the media briefing given by General Mkhunazi on the 6th of July. Our terms of reference relates directly to the 6th of July statement by General Mkhunazi. And to the extent that the two complaints, the one has got a CAS number, Cape Town, that's Honourable Member Schikkeling, and the other one has a CAS number in Brooklyn, in Pretoria. They both form the basis of an allegation that Minister Mkhunu, General Sabia, Mr. Nkabinde, they are accused of defeating the ends of justice, and that and then alternative is that they conspired to do so. And I think it should be pretty self-evident that if you're sitting here on a committee asking a witness questions when you've already laid a complaint, and at best you have formed a prima facie view that that person is guilty of some or other wrongdoing, then I think there is an argument to be made that you shouldn't, in those circumstances, sit on the committee. But Chair, that is exactly why I had indicated to both honourable members that I'm going to raise it with you so that you could discuss it with the committee. Thank you.
Honourable Nomvalo. Well, Chair, I want to disagree firstly with the evidence leader on what he has just said, that by virtue of laying a complaint, you have formulated a prima facie view. That is not true. When you lay a complaint, you are directing the police officers to investigate. The same thing that we are doing here. Prima facie can only be formulated by the police officers through an investigation. Two, it's not Skosana who laid the complaint. Skosana is a messenger of the MK party. It's the MK party that laid the complaint. So, if we are saying conflict of interest arises in that context, then it means we are saying the MK party must not participate here. Because I also share the same sentiments that Skosana shares. And all MK members share the same sentiment, that there is a rot in the police and that warranted our action to lay a complaint. So when you lay a complaint, where does prima facie get in there? You have not formulated any prima facie. You are just saying to the police, there are areas that necessitate investigation, and you have the competency as the police officers to investigate. So that is why, Chair, when I was listening to you unpacking what transpired before we arrived, I was actually confused as to what is the issue here, really, because I was going to understand if there was something that was implicating Honorable Skosana, if maybe in the testimony that will be accused here by General Sibia, there was the name of Honorable Skosana maybe as one of the suspects on a certain aspect, like in the case of the member of the DA that we are no longer seeing here as part of us. So where is the issue here, Senior Counsel? Where is the issue? You have not really done enough to convince us, except laying statements which are vague and which are not convincing. So, Chair, up until we are convinced, really, maybe we can start to have a discussion about this. But from where I'm sitting, there is nothing that warrants discussions at this stage, because there is actually no issue. We are just fundraising issues which are neither here nor there.
Senior Counsel, in the records that are before the police where the complaint was laid, and the documents that have been served or sent to you by General Sibia's attorney, what are the names that appear, the names of the honorable members that appear in those documents?
Honorable Chair, honorable committee members, yeah, it wasn't sent to me by General Sibias. It was actually sent to me by Minister Mkunu's lawyers. The names that appear are those of Honorable Member Schikkeling of the DA and Honorable Member Skosana of MK. The issue is quite simply one of fairness, if you have regard to our terms of reference. It is stated there, the terms of reference, obviously, that guides and that binds this committee, that we will conduct these proceedings fairly in terms of the rule of law.
Let me check this.
So
the documents that General Sibia and his lawyers have sent to us, do they have the names of these honorable members?
Thank you. It's at page 21 of the no, it's not of the statement. Yeah, but is it in the bundle? No, but it's sorry, it's sorry, it's in the core bundle of documents, which is attached to which was sent to us yesterday at page 21. That's the same bundle that I referenced and that they're making copies of. And at page 21, paragraph 43 of the which is attached to the court order which was obtained on for the warrant. So, and this is the affidavit of Brigadier Kuneni, and it reads: further dockets, Cape Town CAS number 402/07/2025. On 10 July 2025, Mrs. Lisa Marie Schikkeling, a member of the National Assembly of the Republic and Deputy Spokesperson on Police for the Democratic Alliance, registered a criminal complaint against Nkunu. She alleged that offences of fraud and the contravention of Section 27 of the Powers and Privileges and Immunities of Parliaments and Provincial Legislatures Act 4 of 2004 by lying to Parliament that he did not know Mogotsi, when in truth he knew him. She claims that, and I quote, if it is found that the minister intentionally deceived members of Parliament, the minister must be found also to have obstructed these members in fulfilling their duty of oversight through the parliamentary committee, thereby further contravening Section 7A and B, and thus the contravention of Section 27 of the Act. And then the other reference is Brooklyn case number 172/7/2025. On 10 July 2025, Mr. David Mandla Skosana, a member of Parliament representing the MK political party, also opened a criminal case against Nkunu, Sabia, and others. He alleged that Nkunu may have committed the offences of fraud/forgery and defeating and obstructing the course of justice. The defeating and obstructing the course of justice emanates from the disbandment and disestablishment of the PKTT and the removal of its dockets from KwaZulu-Natal, as alluded to and traversed above. At this stage, the fraud/forgery charge is not clearly set out or explained in Mr. Skosana's statement.
So the document has been sent to us.
It's being printed, Honourable Chair.
Yes, and this document is sent by General Sibia's lawyer.
Yes.
Okay.
But we had sight of this document on Friday already when it was sent to us by Minister Nkunu's lawyers, and that's why I raised it
and
on
so
Friday.
Now the question that is put before this committee is that if I open a case against you or I initiate proceedings, can I come and sit on the other side and ask you questions about matters related thereto?
Honourable Chair, this committee must make findings of fact and make recommendations to the National Assembly. I think there's an even higher duty on an honourable member of Parliament sitting in this committee to observe the rules of fairness. I think most if not all of us in this room, even before I was appointed as an evidence lead in this matter, we all follow the news, we all read the papers, and most of us, all of us, tend to form some kind of opinion. But that's a lay opinion. But when you find yourself sitting on a committee that now actually, not quite like a court of law, but sitting in judgment of a particular person, I think one is duty-bound for constitutional, legal, and ethical reasons. But what I wanted to, that's why I wanted to raise it with the Honourable Chair.
Yeah, it's fine.
Maybe it's something that should have been discussed by the committee separately.
Let's do this first, because what we are doing is unfair to General Sibiya. Maybe we may have to recuse him from the proceedings, and then we deal with this matter. We invite him back when I think it's fair. And I want to apologize to you, General, that we have to bring you into discussions like this in your presence. Yeah. Senior Counsel, can you please help the General out, and then we will let him know when we are ready to.
Have I now been deployed as a parliamentary officer?
You are the one who received him here, so can you please, in the meantime, take him to where he should be? We will wait for you to come back, and we deal with the matter. Yeah. No, just to take General Sibiya out, and we'll come back. Yeah.
All right, we're live to the ad hoc committee in Parliament, and it's the inquiry into those allegations of corruption interference within the SAPS. This morning, part of what is delaying the start of the evidence of General Sibiya is, again, administrative issues. It is around whether or not members of Parliament that have instituted criminal action against General Sibiya, against Minister Mgunu, should actually be allowed to sit in these proceedings. The DA has already excused one such member from its particular grouping, and that is Member Sheklin, who is now no longer part of these hearings and has been replaced by another member of the DA. The MK party is the one that is basically insisting on the fact that its members, who are part of the opening of the cases against Nkunu, Sibiya, and Ngabinde, that they need to remain in this committee and continue with its work. Ngabinde, you remember, was the chief of staff of Minister Nkunu. So they are now basically continuing to hold these deliberations about what should happen. So General Sibiya has been excused out of the committee room so that the parliamentarians can make a decision about how to proceed. And it's really a question of conflict for these members of parliament, that is the act of laying and opening cases against these officials, which is Minister Nkunu, his chief of staff, Mr. Ngabinde, and General Sibiya, is the act of opening those matters. Does that not leave them conflicted in as far as the work that this commission has to do? That's the question they're answering. So should these members of parliament continue, or should they recuse themselves and be replaced by other members of their teams in parliament? Let's take you back into the room.
In the documents that have been sent to us by General Spear and his lawyers, that the two members have respectively laid criminal complaints against Minister Nkunu, General Spear, and Mr. Ngabinde in Cape Town and Brook Lane, respectively. So that matter has been brought to the attention of the individual members in the committee. And the Democratic Alliance has come here and announced that Honorable Shikeleng has been replaced by Honorable Thope. And now we are left with the matter of Honorable Skosana. And before I rotate the matter for discussions, can I check senior counsel, is there anything that you want to say?
No, Chair, I was hoping it could be resolved in a matter that avoids me having to look like I'm somehow taking sides or anything. I'm just giving. You've asked me for a view. I've given a view. I think it goes to the heart of fundamental fairness. I was hoping on Friday when I interacted with the two members concerned privately, that it could also be resolved on that basis. So this is a bit unfortunate.
Okay. Thank you so much. Can I start with the African National Congress, or maybe let's give the MK party first to speak on the matter, and we understand how they view it before we rotate it for discussions.
Yeah, no, thank you once again, Chair. Chair, we are not happy with how the Senior Counsel is approaching this matter. He is not giving any direction, that is number one. He has just narrated the events, that so-and-so opened the case on this date and so on, and says it is up to this committee to make a decision. He does not even go to an extent of raising a legal principle so that we can know where we premise our discussions. I asked, what is an issue here? Is an issue about a conflict of interest? Because if the issue is a conflict of interest, then let us argue from that point. The Senior Counsel just narrates event. He does not cite the law. He does not cite any legal principle that will guide us in this context. The same thing he did when we were discussing the Honorable Banat matter. He kept quiet. We did not receive any legal advice from him regarding that matter. Whereas he was employed to advise this committee inter alia during the course of its work. He was not only advised to lead evidence and write statements, he was advised to give us legal advices so that we do everything in accordance with the relevant laws. Now, he just narrates like a layperson to say, so and so went to a police station, he opened the case, then the committee must decide. He is throwing you, Chairperson, to the deep end because you will make wrong summaries and wrong determinations for this committee which are not in line with the law. As a legal advisor, as the starting point, he must say, this is what the law says in this regard. Then the committee can argue from that perspective. Not from a perspective of narrating events that have been narrated. That thing can be done by anyone. It can be done even by a 6-year-old to say Skosana on this date went and opened the case, then the committee must decide. He's an aspect here. He must play his role. Secondly, Chair, we have said that even on the question of a conflict of interest, it does not arise in this point because Skosana is not a witness before this committee. He went to the police on behalf of the MK party, not on behalf of his family, not on his behalf, not on behalf of his company, but on behalf of the MK party to lay charges against General Sibiya. So if you say on those bases he must be recused, it means you are saying the MK party must be recused. Now the question is, if we were dealing with an ordinary committee here, the portfolio committee on police, what was going to be the case? Because these matters have been accounted for even before the portfolio committee on police, these matters, after the case was opened by Skosana. So it means you are going to say Skosana must not play his constitutional responsibility as an MP of doing oversight because he opened the case. The case, Chair, is to be investigated by a component falling in a different arm of the state, the police. Parliament is doing its work here as Parliament. We're doing our own investigation, which is not going to be influenced by how the police have investigated this matter. Because we're not only investigating General Sibiya here, we are also investigating the police holistically. So we don't know what is it that we are actually dealing with here. And the senior counsel is not helping this committee, Chairperson. If anything, he is just exacerbating our problems. He comes here and speaks like a layman and say, this is what happened, then you must decide. What does the law say? So that we can argue it from that. If we can approach our lawyers now and say there's an issue in the committee with regards to Honorable Skosana, they will say, but what is the issue? And we will have nothing to say because there is absolutely nothing that is put before us to say here is a crisis. Like we argued the case of Honorable Banat, that in our view, his continued stay in this committee constitute a conflict of interest. So, Chairperson, we are not sure of what we are discussing here, and in our view, the senior counsel is not doing justice for this committee. He's just exacerbating confusions, and we think he can do better than that. Maybe let's afford him an opportunity to tell us about the law, to say these are the legal principles that are guiding us in this context, and here is my advice as a legal advisor. Thank you very much.
The ANC.
No, thanks, Chair. I think to a larger extent, the point that is made by the MK part, I was hoping that before we intervene as other parties, you may allow the senior counsel to properly motivate the argument that he has advanced in terms of it being supported by whatever clauses on our terms of references. And then we can come in. We do have a view on this matter, but on the legal issues, we think that if he's drawing our attention to any legal matters, we should allow him first, and then we can come in. Thanks.
Okay, I take that point. Senior counsel. Okay, Honorable Breitenbach.
Thank you. Chair, perhaps I may be wrong, but my understanding of this situation is this, that Mr. Arendse and his two junior counsel are here as assistants to the committee in order to place evidence on record. They're the evidence leaders. They're not here as legal advisors to Parliament. Parliament's legal advisors are here. Their job is to supply the committee with legal advice. It's not the job of Mr. Arendse to supply the committee with legal advice. If you want a legal opinion from him, you'll have to brief him and pay him extra. I understand him to be here as an evidence leader, and the role of an evidence leader is completely different to that of somebody giving you legal advice. If we as a committee want legal advice on a position, we must ask Parliament for the legal advice. That's why they're here. Thank you.
No, I think, Chair, okay, it may very well be that in terms of how we've been interacting here, we have been looking at the senior counsel and the team almost interchangeably with our legal team, because right from the beginning when we started our work, the understanding was that here is an external team which is coming to work together with the parliamentary team. Now, I have no problem with Honorable Breitenbach's argument, Glenis's argument that no, that's not what they are meant for, and I don't want us to spend time on that. This is what I want to suggest. I think firstly, we would like to suggest that firstly we want to welcome the decision of the DA to withdraw one of their members on the basis of the court case that has been opened, notwithstanding the fact that the court case may very well be a DA court case as opposed to an individual court case. But the mere fact that the member who happened to participate in that case is one of our own, it therefore suffices that they have taken the correct decision on that matter. Secondly, and I would want to assume that our view as the ANC is that that decision may have not necessarily dependent on certain legal principles, but rather on taking a position on moral ground and understanding the fairness that has got to unfold in the committee like ourselves when we're interacting with the witnesses. Now, I want to propose, Chair, two things. The first one is that the parliamentary legal team should look at this matter, even if they don't advise us now. We are allowed to proceed now with Honorable Skosana in attendance, while we allow them to go and look at the matter and advise us whether there are any legal grounds for him to be recused. However, in an event where his name pops up in the presentation by the witness who's coming here, in the context of him having or being expected later on to answer to certain things that are going to arise from the presentation, we should then agree in principle that we will treat him in the same way that we've treated others. But in terms of the legal standing of his participation here and now, I suggest that we defer that matter to the parliamentary legal team, and in the meantime, we allow the proceedings to resume and proceed with an understanding that will be advised later on whether or not he actually qualifies to remain in the committee. That's our submission as the ANC. Thanks.
Is there anybody who is opposed to that view? Okay. The DA, can I see if the Democratic Alliance wants to take a bite on the proposal?
Chair, we'd like to see the committee move along.
Okay.
So we have no difficulty with the proposal.
Okay. Honorable Sauls.
Chair, we as a committee and yourself, Chair, we've delayed the issue unnecessarily from day one when we raised the issue of conflict. And we delayed it. The House decided that after the first witness, we will relook at the matter of conflict. After the first witness, I wrote to you. We spoke face to face. You delayed it even further and said we will discuss it in detail this coming Wednesday. Now we're sitting with a similar issue because we didn't make a decision on it. And even in the last meeting, online meeting, virtual meeting, it was agreed that there will be a legal opinion on the matter. Now, we must...
Honorable Sauls.
Are you recognizing the...
No. I want to say to you that you are an honorable member of this parliament. And this committee is a committee of members of parliament. So when you see a hand of a person who is not a member of parliament, you must not be distracted. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you, Chair. It's just, I was looking at you and you were looking at the
This
hand,
is a parliamentary proceeding.
So as I was saying, if we dealt with it and we got the legal opinion in the beginning, we would now not have the need for this proposal to say, let's first get a legal opinion and then we continue. That's the first thing. That's the first reason why I disagree with the proposal, because we have to have that legal opinion already. Then the MKP says that the matter or the criminal case was opened against General Sibia by Honorable Kosana, but not in his individual capacity, but as a party. If it was in his individual capacity, I would then have proposed Rule 163 of our rules, that they can co-opt someone else when the witnesses who is involved in that case are here. But now that it's the entire party on the record, the entire party must recuse themselves. For when the witness...
Yeah, but you see...
But let me finish.
Just to hold you there, I don't want you to debate the merits and the demerits, because the proposal of the Chief Whip is that General Sibia is already here. If we want to discuss, like you said, the chair said, we will itemize all those matters for Wednesday. We will discuss them. But for now, what we should do, for me, is to check if all of you agree with this proposal.
No, but that's unfair, Chair. Because before the proposal of the Chief Whip made that proposal when it was the Chief Whip's opportunity to comment on the issue, to discuss the issue. And then in his input, the Chief Whip then proposed. Now I'm only expected to deal with the proposal and not give my input. But everyone else before me gave their input. I need to be allowed to give my input on the matter.
It's okay. If you want to give that background, you can do. But,
I have to.
But where I stand, I would persuade you to talk to the proposal. The proposal that the Chief Whip makes is that all of you will still be given chance to raise the views that you have around the matter. But for now, because he's proposing that we subject this matter to a legal opinion.
Chair, I'm saying that the position we have on the MKP on conflict, from day one we had the same position on the DA on conflict. It's not only the MKP that is conflicted here. The entire 4 members that the DA has given initially is conflicted. All 4. Today we find out that the 1 member that's now being removed by the DA, it's not something beautiful. The Honorable Member Breitenbach said that they knew about this. She opened the case some time ago. So when they fielded her, they knew about the conflict of interest. Removing her today is not something beautiful. It is just proving that they intentionally knew about conflict, allowed the Honorable Member, and all 4 of them, I don't know about the new Honorable Member, but all 4 of them are conflicted. 3 out of the 4 needs to be witnesses. So now I'm saying, when we decide on MKP, we must also decide on DA. DA, the entire members of DA is conflicted.
Yes, Honorable Source, I hear, you see what we must do, Honorable Members. Let us direct ourselves to, I know you are politicians and you are political parties. You know, political parties, they like sniping at each other.
No, Chair, point of order. I'm not sniping at anybody. I'm raising facts. Honorable Barnard, we've spoken about it. There's conflict. The witness, our terms of reference says, any allegation that the main witness, that General Mkhwanazi raises, and anyone implicated, we must investigate. General Mkhwanazi implicated Honorable Barnard, he implicated Honorable Cameron, he implicated Honorable Breitenbach. That's 3. Today, the DA lets us know that Honorable Schickling has opened up a criminal case and therefore there is bias. So therefore she's removed. These are facts. I'm not sniping at any party. This thing that when it comes to corruption, it has a black face. When it comes to those who must hold them accountable, it's only a white face. The 3 out of the DA that is implicated by General Mkhwanazi must become witnesses. We must question them. They have alleged part in political interference into the work of the police. We must interrogate that. If we're not going to be fair, then we can't expect the same from MKP. So I disagree with the proposal and I say we must look into conflict for MKP and the DA. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Vessels, can I check, honorable members from the DA, do you want to speak before? Because from here, I'm going to give the MKP to reply and then we must go on with the proceedings. I mean, can I check, okay. From Vessels, DA, do you want to speak?
Thank you, Chair. Yes,
Yes, if you want to speak, hold it there. I just want to know.
Well, we'll wait.
Honorable Sangoni, would you want to speak, or what the Chief Whip said is fine with yourselves?
Yes, I think we just still stand by that proposal, Chair. Only in the event that you change the decision, then we'd want to come back. Thank you.
Okay. So what we're going to do like this is Honorable Vessels, Honorable Breitenbach, and then Honorable Nomvalo. Andile, you must come closer to me.
Thank you, Chairperson. Obviously, one has an opinion on this matter, but I think the proposal is progressive. Let's move on. Let's get a legal opinion, and let's discuss the issue on, I think, Wednesday when we have a meeting that we can discuss household issues. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Breitenbach.
Thanks, Chair. I would like to suggest to the Honourable Sauls that he be a little more circumspect in the use of the word implicate. We will go with the proposal of the ANC Chief Whip, just to get the matter moving along. The meeting on Wednesday, as you well know, I cannot attend for previously arranged reasons. The Honourable Cameron won't be there, so the Honourable Klopper will present our argument on Wednesday. Thank you.
Okay. The MKP.
Chair, we disagree with the proposal. If you take that decision, you can take it on your own. We are not part of it. We are going to consult our legal advisors on this issue, because it cannot be that you can do on the left what you can't do on the right. When we're faced with the most critical issue in this committee, involving a member of this committee who was implicated by the testimony made by General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, there was never a call for a legal advice. Where does this call come from? Because the senior counsel does not do what we task him to do, to say, what is the issue here? Take us through. He's not doing that. And we say, out of nothing, let us have a legal advice. Because there's absolutely nothing that is a crisis that has been put before us, except narrating events of who opened the case when and for what. So, Chairperson, we don't have confidence already in that team, because they kept quiet. They never advised this committee on serious issues. Two, we disagree with what Honorable Breitenbach is saying. The senior counsel has a task of advising this committee. If that was not the case, he would not have raised the matter he's raising now. He would have come here in this committee and led the evidence, if he does not have a responsibility to advise the committee. So it means he has acted ultra vires if we were to go according to what Honorable Breitenbach is saying. The problem with what he has done is that he has just given us a half-cooked legal advice, a microwave legal advice, which is not enough, with no legal principles, a whole senior counsel. So, Chair, we disagree with this. If the committee takes that decision, take it on your own. We will consult our legal team, because we know the legal advice that will be given by Andile on this matter. Thank you.
Look, no, I'm not going to give any member time to speak. You know, if you get triggered by what other members are saying, we will not finish. We will discuss this matter the whole day.
Point of order, Chair.
Point of order, Honorable Sauls, is taken.
Not taking input on the issue. I just wanted to say that we have asked for a legal opinion. So it's not true that there's no legal opinion. That legal opinion should be here now so that we can have an answer to the issue. Because if we're going to allow a witness to sit there and be questioned by people who has a matter against him, it's not fair. His constitutional rights is being infringed upon because he's not having a fair trial. So there should have been a legal opinion already now, because we've requested it when we addressed the issue of Honorable Barnard. So the question is just, is that legal opinion now available instead of postponing this session for a legal opinion? Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Andile.
Good afternoon, Chairperson. Good afternoon to the honorable members, and greetings to my colleagues as well. Chair, for us, this is a fairly simple matter because it is not the first time that a committee of parliament is confronted, with this question. And I think, Chair, if you look at the rules, you will agree with me that the rules do not say anything regarding the recusal of members. And I personally, Chair, I think there's a reason for that. And the reason is a simple one, is that you can't subject members of parliament to the requirements of independence or impartiality. If you read 5.1 of our terms of reference, it says this committee is neither a judicial or quasi-judicial, it says, let me just read it. 5.1 under the format of the inquiry, and I think this begins from the second sentence. It is neither a judicial or quasi-judicial process, nor is it an adversarial process. Yeah, okay, I'll just stop there. So Chairperson, this committee does not perform a judicial or adjudicative function. Its function is merely to inquire into these matters and report on them to the National Assembly. So even if you are speaking about a decision in a technical legal sense, this committee won't be making any decisions. It will just report that which it has done, to the House, and of course the House will have to take a decision whether they agree with the report of the committee as well. So, of course, Chairperson, it would be undesirable for any member of the committee to participate in its inquiry into the conduct of the member concerned. And if I listen to the conspectors of facts, Chairperson, the members we're talking about are not under investigation. I know, I'm not aware that these members were investigating them. And of course, a member should not sit in judgment of his or her own conduct. I agree with that. But the mere fact that a member, of a committee has expressed strong views or has particular knowledge of matters under investigation does not disqualify them. I'm not sure if I've tried to simplify it. So we're not a court, Chair. We're not sitting as a court. That's my view. And of course, members of parliament, I know I'm repeating myself, to subject them to requirements of independence and impartiality, that's not correct, Chairperson. Chairperson, I'll leave it there up until maybe there are follow-up questions. Thanks.
Look, this is what we are going to do, honorable members. Number one, I'm going to make a request to you that every time we discuss a matter, our focus must be on the matter for discussion. Because we spend a lot of time making political statements, veering away from the matter at issue. And that takes our time. Number two, I want you as honorable members to understand that we are a constitutional democracy. That is what we are in terms of architect. Mr. Tejana has read a clause in our terms of reference. And that clause that he has read, I believe it must also be read in context with the rules of parliament. And the rules of parliament must also be subjected to the supremacy of the law in this country. But for now, the matter has been raised by ourselves as members. And all what we are saying here has not been put to test. And maybe before I come back to this matter to tell you how we're going to move forward, let me go back to the matter of the senior counsel. This senior counsel is not a senior counsel of parliament. This committee is a committee of parliament which runs